So M5 and M7.5, these two are known as lean concrete. M10 to M20, they are known as ordinary concrete. So M25 to M55, so M25 to M55, they are known as standard strength concrete. Standard strength concrete. And above M60 and above, it is known as high strength concrete. High strength concrete. So there are two criteria that you need to satisfy in order to select the grade of the concrete. The first one is the structural loads. So if your structure is heavy, in that case you have to use higher grade of concrete. The second case is that even if your structural loads are not heavy, but your environment is not good, let's say that it is a very corrosive or aggressive environment, in that case also you have to use the higher grades of concrete. So second one is the exposure conditions. So based on these two things, you have to select your grade of the concrete. So M5 and M7.5, they are generally not used, or even if they are used in very inferior kinds of works where there are almost no kind of loadings. In that case only these two grades of concretes are used. So M10 grade of concrete is generally used for leveling the surface, or for inferior kinds of pavements. Okay, so they are used. So M15 grade of concrete is generally used in PCC, that is plain cement concrete, where there are no structural loadings. Also it is used for surface leveling, which means that, let's say if you are constructing a foundation, in that case for that foundation you need a smooth level surface, and to build that level surface you can use M15 grade of the concrete. So M20 grade of the concrete is the most widely used for the residential buildings. It is also used in light structures where the loads are not very heavy, light structures and residential buildings. So M25 grade of concrete, it is used in commercial buildings, but they are not very tall. Let's say 7 to 8 story buildings, commercial buildings, because the loads are heavier as compared to the residential buildings, so we need higher strength of the concrete. So M30 grade of the concrete is generally used in heavy tower foundations, roads, etc. And these M35, M40, M50, they are higher grade concretes, and they are normally used where the loads are heavy, such as bridge abutments, dams, very heavy structures, high-rise buildings. So over there, these kind of concretes are used. And within a structure, it might also happen that, so let's say our structure, so this is my structure over here, so a building, so this is the ground level and this is the footing of this building. Okay, I'll say these are my beams. So this is my slab, these are my columns, these are the columns, this is my slab, and these are my beams. So within these building also, you can see that all the loads from this slab, so this will go into all these 4 beams, and after that it will go to 4 columns, and the load from this slab also, it will go to these columns, and ultimately it will go to the footing. So footing, they carry heavy load, the columns also they carry heavy load as compared to the beams and the slab. So what you can do is that you can use, let's say for a residential buildings, you can use M25 grade of concrete for the columns and footings, and M20 grade of concrete for the beams and slab. And for PCC work, M15 grade of concrete you can use for PCC work, such as for providing a clear foundation level for the footing, and also at the ground floor you do not need to have a structural slab, you can have a PCC slab, and over there also you can use M15. So guys, this is all about the grade of the concrete. I hope it was helpful.